In this movie, we'll create these spirograph faces at the back of the letters, and we'll do so using another kind of group inside of Illustrator, known as a clipping group. And this will serve as our first look at masking inside of Illustrator. We'll see more of masking in the advanced course. So here's our illustration in progress. And what I need to do is bring out yet another copy of those outline layers. So I'm going to twirl open the safe sublayer, and then I'll select the middle group, which is the letters converted to path outlines. And I think I'll just go ahead and rename that group Paths, so I know that's what it is. And now I'll press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac, and I'll drag that group to just below the 3D Size group and drop it into place. That creates a visible copy of that item outside of the sublayer. Now I'll go ahead and twirl close the sublayer. Now if you click on one of the letters to select it, and I still have my selection edges hidden, so I'll press Control H or Command H on the Mac to bring it back. And then I'll go ahead and zoom in on the top of this D, and you can see that things are out of register. The inner edge of that bevel should be exactly aligned with that top of the D. So to fix that problem, I'm going to click on that white surface to select it, and shift-click on the blue extruded edge. And then I'll drag these guys by an anchor point just a little bit up and to the left so I can see what I'm doing. And then I'll drag them back down so that they snap into alignment like so. And now everything should be more or less good to go. I'm going to press Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac to once again zoom out. And the next thing we need to do is bring back that spirograph pattern. And that's this Spiro item here inside the Layers panel. Just go ahead and click in the eyeball column to make it visible. And next I'll select this item with the black arrow tool by clicking in the center of it here. And what we're seeing here is a very basic path outline with a dynamic effect assigned to it. And I'll be showing you how to make these kinds of dynamic effects in the advanced course. But for now, what I'd like you to do is duplicate the spirograph 3 times, once for each of the other letters. So go ahead and drag the item and then press and hold the Shift and Alt keys, or the Shift and Option keys on the Mac. The Shift key constrains the angle of my drag to exactly horizontal in this case, and the Alt or Option key will create a copy. Then you want to release the mouse button and then release the keys. And I'm going to press the right arrow key once just to nudge this guy over a little bit because I want to see sort of these rippling edges along the extruded side. And now I'll go ahead and do it again. Press Shift and Alt or Shift and Option on the Mac as you drag the path outline to a new position. I'll go ahead and nudge it into place by pressing the right arrow key again. And then I'll do it a third time. You need to have the Shift and Alt keys down or the Shift and Option keys on the Mac in order to create that copy. All right, now we have all the spirographs that we need. To move them down a stack, you could cut them and then paste them back. That's one option. You could go up to the Object menu, choose Arrange, and then choose something like Send Backward or Send to Back. However, the easiest thing to do is just drag them around inside the Layers panel. So I'm going to click on one of the spiros and shift-click on another in order to select them here inside the Layers panel. Notice that doesn't select them out there in the illustration window. And in fact, only the last spiro is selected as indicated by that orange square there. And now I'm going to scroll down the list a little bit and move the spirograph patterns below the Paths group. And that goes ahead and puts the patterns behind the black letters, which is where they need to be if we're going to create a clipping group. All right, now I want to click on the black letters to select them. And I need to ungroup them so that each letter is independent. And I'll do that by going up to the Object menu and choosing the Ungroup command, or again, pressing Control-Shift-G or Command-Shift-G on the Mac. Now here's an interesting thing. Notice that the letters are upside down. So G's at the bottom and D's at the top. If for whatever reason you want to change the order, then just go ahead and click on the first path and shift-click on the last one, again here inside the Layers panel. And then go over to the panel's flyout menu and choose Reverse Order. And that'll just switch them around so that the G's on top, the D's on the bottom, and we actually can see the word good here inside the Layers panel. All right, the next step is to click on the first spirograph pattern and then shift-click on the letter D to select both of them. And then you go up to the Object menu, you choose Clipping Mask, and you choose Make, or you can press its keyboard shortcut if you remember it, of Control-7 or Command-7 on the Mac. And that'll go ahead and clip the spirograph pattern inside of the G. And it also produces a clipping group as indicated by the words Clip Group on the left side of the control panel. Now you may have wondered why I hadn't changed the colors of the letters to blue before I started this process. Here's why. As soon as you turn the object into a clipping mask, you lose the fill and stroke. So we're going to have to reassign those anyway. Let's go ahead and take care of the other letters here. And we've got to repeat this process independently for each one of the letters. All right, here are our 4 clipping groups. They look invisible because they're white on white. I want you to twirl open the very first one, and you should see a G at the top of it. So we got a G that's serving as a mask for the Spyro pattern below. The easiest way to select that G is to click on its little circular meatball right there in the Layers panel. And that selects that G independently of the other letters. Now I want you to go up to that Select Similar Objects icon on the left side of the control panel and click on it, and that will select all the other letters as well. Now we can reassign a fill and stroke by clicking on the first color swatch and setting it to blue. And I'm also going to set the stroke to blue as well, just in case the letters are a little off from the extruded sides, so that we'll have complete faces and no gaps in between. All right, the last thing I want to do here is group all of these letters together. So I'll go up to the Object menu and choose the Group command, or press Ctrl-G or Command-G on the Mac. Illustrator brings up an alert message. It tells me that it can't make a group of objects that are housed inside other groups. So what we've done here is we've just selected the letter faces, but we didn't select the other elements of the clipping groups. So what you need to do is click off the shapes in order to deselect them, and then click and shift-click on each one of the letters in order to reselect them. This time we've selected the clipping groups, as we can see once again up here in the control panel. Now I can go up to the Object menu and choose the Group command, and everything will work out just fine. We end up with a new group here inside the Layers panel. I'm going to rename it Faces and press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac. And that's how you work with a more specialized style of groups known as clipping groups here inside Illustrator.